Gives you an idea how huge these stones are. I'm scanning the top of these walls just to see if I can try to understand what some of the little niches and holes and so forth were for. For example, that might have been one of the chutes that carried an elevator with an animal up to the top. This looks to be a tunnel just below grade, at least that grade, but slightly higher, although maybe at the same level or close to the same level as the restored stadium surface. An attempt to restore what one set of seats might have been like. Can you imagine vendors like ours today selling food and cushions for your butt if you didn't bring one? Maybe icons of your favorite stars, gladiator stars. They were stars, very much like our athlete stars, revered within the society, too expensive to allow to be normally killed. Just because a horse loses the Kentucky Derby, you don't kill it. Although the Aztecs and the Mayans did. In fact, they sometimes killed the winners. So just to make the observation complete, there's an example of the actual seats, and then the sloped area above would have been the base for rows and rows of seats, and of course those angled areas above that I referred to as having or being like outriggers or buttresses would in fact have also held rows of seats, quite steep as they got higher and higher. I just noticed that if you look closely in the center and to the left, and I'm getting closer to it, you'll notice different elevation, like a platform there and then an angle up to what is a much larger platform. How high up did the seats go? And notice the horizontal row of small indentations. Did they hold support beams or sculpted artifacts of some sort? And notice these pyramidal structures that seem to have stairways on either side and some kind of marbled support there in the middle center. And they seem to be across the other side also. Here a wall with quite a bit of large stone, pretty stonework in it. What are the holes for? Are they natural erosion? Were there other kinds of decoration attached to them? Were they support holes for something else? Here's an interesting, I don't know how recent this support system is for holding this wall in place. Looks pretty 18th century, maybe 19th century. Now I'm going to walk around at the same level in the Colosseum on the outside perimeter, just looking at what's outside. Again, that's the Palantine Hill. Palatine, if I'm saying it right. Certainly those must be what Respighi was thinking of when he spoke of the pines of Rome. And Constantine's arch. Probably few pans will typify Rome as much as this one will. Not that it's an iconic shot, but rather that it encompasses so much implication. Palantine Hill, but what are these structures down here? Or what were they? The columns, another arch in the background. This, what looks to have been a basilica, but large, plus the building in the back, and notice another set of columns suggesting that this whole upper portion was one big temple of some sort, and then in the background one or more churches, including this tower to the right. A totally unwashed look at what the interior of one of these corridors would have been like. It's interesting to me how little money is reinvested in a place like this. Now I'm working my way down. How much of a simulation of the old days this would have been, I don't know. It is quite steep, actually. Hard on my knee.
Come se fosse come le asserati e una parabola lì così a terra, la pizza quando che fa vedere tipo non so, qualcosa se vede no, nel teatro che fai spettacoli. Quindi è solo il corso di corso? Sì, non fanno roba alta così così si vede. No, vedi tutti i disegni per tutto anche la vita del finestra, sempre i video, andava tutto il tempo molto
sì, ci abitavano. Vabbè, c'erano le loro case, ma mica la vita la passano pure.
Why a long, narrow opening with a slot at the top? Notice the sluice ways for water here. This may have been the surface. If so, a very pretty marble surface. Now notice the grooves in the walls here, perhaps to hold securely vertical supports for like elevators or whatever. And you can see them all the way along. And notice how those uprights that form that trough-like configuration have within themselves vertical slots like you use for the dams, if you will, on irrigation systems. Here's a prettily colored small column. And normally they're just white like this one.